Okay, week 10 gaming videos part 1 here. Let's just jump right into it. First clever thing that he did was the setup of this. Now, I've done multiple views setups in the past, but all he did was he had two cameras that he took at the same time. One of the game that you can see underneath here. Maybe I should mute that for a minute. That you can see here, and then the other one of him watching the game. And then we're going to do something slick so we can see that one and we can see this one here. And you can see that these guys, these waveforms are identical. So what's the first thing we can do is we can see that they're synced up. And let's just play it and see what we need to do first off.
Back to school, back to school.
Okay, so we had a little bit of the first here to trim out that. So let's get to that. Let's hit T for being in trim mode and trim in there and get that out of the way. Leave a little bit of a tail here just so we have something to work with later. And
back to school to prove to my daddy that I'm not a fool. Guys, we are fool. Guys, we are going over school in Miami at the I'm not a fool. Guys, we are going over school in Miami at the very.
Okay, so he made a little blunder there, but first, before we make any more blunders, let's hit the Alt key and select the bottom track. Alt, bingo. And you see how that's highlighted just the bottom track? We don't need that anymore. We're synced up, okay? And then since we are synced up, let's get something else taken care of. Let's get some room made. Okay, there we go. Now I understand what's happening here. We should be able to fold this. There we go. See this little guy up here? That folds it up so we can see our timeline and we see what's in our media pool because it's important that we're able to select what's happening over here in the preview window for this. It'll make it a little easier on us. Let's scope this out so we can get a better idea of what's happening here. Control Z, Shift Z. There we go, Shift Z. So that Shift Z is a zoom that allows us to see the whole thing without pulling it down into a little tiny thing. So let's come up here and click on this guy. And so what we want to be able to do is you'll notice that this is one is on top of the other here. So if we come over here, we set a bounding box on this one here and just grab a hold of that. Look what happens. It reveals the video of the game underneath. So what we're going to do is we're going to do these two simultaneously. So we're going to put this here kind of out of the way. And then remember we got the bounding box from down there. Yeah. Okay, so what do we got to do here? We got to click on video. We're going to come down to cropping. Our goal is here is just to get him in the frame and nothing else. So therefore, we got to bring the left side in. So cropping is turned on. It's orange. Let's crop in left a little bit. Just shows the hands here. Maybe we can. I think that's pretty good. So let's kill the bounding box and roll the inspector back up. And let's start making some edits here. Remember, this is our first pass here, so I'm just going to make a few edits to kind of clean things up. And then when we come back in our next fold into this, it will be another video that another project that he has already laid out all the cool stuff, and we'll show you that and just kind of talk about all the things that were made. Okay, so that was just a few minutes, a little less than 5 minutes, so we're off to a good start of keeping this in a timely fashion. Okay, and we're back, and what we are looking at is the completed timeline with all the edits that he wanted to make on this. And so there's two categories of things we're talking about here. The first of which is the 3 good pointers he gave us for the storytelling stuff, which is 50% of the value of this particular class of the master editing YouTube class. And then there is 3 or 4 technical things that I kind of picked up along the way, and one mistake that I was able to correct. Anyway, let's start talking about the video itself. So I've got the sound turned off up here for now. As we go through here, let me just kind of give you an idea what's happening here. Is he's playing a video game. He's also narrating his gameplay. So we've got a picture-in-picture, and the top layer that we can see, which is him narrating it. Then we have the next layer, which is this purple stripe, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the bottom layer, which is the footage from the video game that he's playing, and both of the video game and the narration happen to be filmed with the same sound, so it was easy to sync up. That syncing things up is a story for another day. But let's talk about this, just to orient you, like I said. So he's just playing this video game on and going through, and some of the storytelling points that he makes look like this. There's 3 of them. The first one is, as he's going along, he starts at the beginning of the game, and he is going along and playing it without jumping around in time. It's just what happens next, what happens next, what happens next, without anything messed around, jumping to forward or jumping from behind. Now, what is being done is it is an achievement-based video. So what is being left out is every time he screws up and has to start over, we're not seeing that video. It's the time compression. Once again, it's not what you're adding so much sometimes to make the story happen. It's what you're taking away. So we have a video that is simply about the success and coming to a completed point. Now, as you look at him in the window as we go along here, he's talking. He's doing a great job narrating his gameplay. And then from time to time, you will see him. There we go. There's the first of a couple of these. He'll come back to the full screen, and you will see a reaction to it. So that's part of the story here, too. So we have mostly success. I think they only show him falling down maybe once. And that's part of another gag altogether, but that's one of the technical things that I want to show you. And then the last thing is if we look down here, we don't see hardly any dead air anywhere. Even if we came down here where we see a little dead air, let me jump in on that. Hardly at all, actually. The dead air we really see here isn't really dead air. It's maybe there's a little bit of it here. What's happening here? Well, that might be an edit he missed. At any rate, so let's get back out of there. For the most part, though, this is really tight. There's no dead air. There's no fooling around here. It's a very fast pace of edits. It's one right after another after another. And the thing of it is you see action movies use this very same thing where they kind of bring the audience near to exhaustion. It's like, oh my God. You get through one of these new James Bond scenes, for example, and you've just had 30 minutes of straight action from one jump cut to another jump cut to another jump cut, where it's just they're setting a pace with that. And so here with a pretty exciting, fast-moving game, that's another really important part of the storyline is to keep it moving, and you get some excitement and some interest based on its pace. So those are the 3 things. So it's well organized time-wise. It's fast-paced, and what was the other one? I just said it a second ago. Having a brain fart. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. So let's jump over to what's happening technologically that caught my eye here. Obviously, we could go through every little cut here, but we've already done that. There are some things that have come up. This is his version of the ending of it, and I can't figure out for the life of me what has been added down here. I just don't understand it. Maybe it's something that he did. Maybe it's something that DaVinci Resolve did. I don't know. It's going to have to remain a mystery for now. Hopefully, we'll get to see some more of that down the line. I did watch all these videos start to beginning, and there wasn't anything that suggested that there should be keyframes or any kind of smoothing added to that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I couldn't get it to come up. Okay, so let's just start at the beginning. This is the introduction, and it's a series of 4 jump cuts. And it was a effort to just make this a more timely thing, and he did misspeak himself on 2 of these, and the other 2 were cut for time. So let's just watch this real quick. So he's singing along here, prepping us for the name of this game is School. Then we zoom in is the next jump cut. We see that. And then we zoom out, and that's talks a little bit more, and then we zoom back in. So the zooming in and the zooming out thing is a really clever way, I think, of making what would ordinarily appear as kind of a glitchy jump cut. I mean, you'd have to stay absolutely still, you know, if you're going to do any jump cuts or not. Or you do this and it looks natural. At any rate, that's something I really thought the world of, and I'm going to use quite a bit. So as we're going on here, let's talk about the layers. Okay, so the bottom layer is the school thing, and that's right here. The big long purple line here is called, let me just twirl up media pool and swirl down effects, is a generator, and it's a solid color generator. So if we, it was put in all at once. So if we highlight this, and I'm going to get to this little break here in just a minute, then go over to the inspector, we can see that this color that we assign to this color generator, which would have ordinarily been an entire block there of that. In fact, we can go over here and see that. And let's pop over here. And I want to re-enable this. You see this slot here? That's where it says enable clip. And we bring it back over here. This would have been, this is a way to describe this. This teal block would have been the whole thing, and it's been cropped down for size in order to be a frame for this clip that was also cropped down to fit in the time, so you could see him narrate and his reactions as he's playing the game. So when it was over here and we were doing our special thing here that we really wanted to see the bottom of, and I'll get into this in a second, he forgot to put a clip on these and come down here and say disable the clip. So when we do come over this portion, we just see what they want to be seen. And I'll get to that here in just a second. So I just was talking to you about how this frame got from this color generator to this really nice little frame there. And he did that because some of these shots are really dark. So to have that little frame around there serves a couple purposes. A, it's aesthetically pleasing and kind of classy, and B, it separates him from the gameplay very nicely. Okay, so that's the graphics. The other graphic that I thought was kind of nice, it was just very simple, and I mean, you guys have seen me do 100 of these, animation and all that, this other kind of stuff. This is just a simple graphic, no paid in, no paid out. That was the letters were a little kerned here and spread out a bit, and then he put a background in behind it and whittled the background down nicely, cropped it in nicely, rounded the edges a touch, and then moved the whole thing just a little bit counterclockwise. So I think that's very classy and very nicely done. Okay, so the next thing, let's go down the line here. I showed you there's one reaction shot. And that reaction shot came to be here from this to that simply by going back over here. We right click on this guy here and we come up and we say remove attributes. So in the position where he's just a little picture in picture in the corner, that got to be a picture in picture by cropping, by position, and by zooming. So if we highlighted all those things and said apply, that would give you this large screen that you see here. So that's kind of a handy thing. If you need to get back to a picture here, you know, the original footage that you shot in a hurry, you can just bring in the attributes or you can bring out the attributes. You can also copy attributes from one clip to another, which is also a very handy thing too. And it works just as you might imagine here by right clicking and saying copy, and you can come up and say copy attributes, and pretty simple, then go over here to another one and say paste attributes. No big deal, pretty cool. Let's try that real quick, shall we? Let's look at that, say copy, come over here and say, I think we get a point where it says paste attributes. And so one form or the other, very similar to the color grading stuff. So we really don't want to do any of that. Okay, so that's that. That was a handy little tool for the toolbox. And going along. And okay, so I'm just going to play this here from here on over to see this one discolored area. This has a green clip color, and you can go in and change clip color by just simply right clicking and coming up to clip color, then picking one of, I don't know, it's like 35 or 40 colors you want. As Lord knows, the things can get confusing if you don't have a color guide. Some of these, even when some of the people that are doing the sound stuff, when they color their clips, they're color coded and they're universally color coded. So this is an important little tidbit too. I knew this, but I need to use this more often to keep myself on track. So let me turn the volume up here a little bit and get the inspector off. And let's play this portion. I'm skating around and I'll shut up.
There it is. There's that bell. Okay, apparently I'll wall ride like 600 feet above it though.
600 feet above it though.
Okay, so that was a nice little bit of slow-mo there, but there's some stuff going on with this slow-mo here. It's worth talking about. The first thing he did was when he came over here, we first saw this. Here, turn this back off, sorry. We first saw this gigantic wipeout. You know, he rides it along, he falls down, and we see this. And then it's duplicated over here. We see this again. Or just that one shot. Okay, so how did that get here? Well, first off, we came over here and we right-clicked and copied this clip, okay? And then we made some room here and we did in my case, I have a thing called a smart insert where I can put my, a smart insert button right here. Once I have a clip copied, I can put my tape head in over somewhere else. Where'd that go? Somewhere else, which happened to be right next to it. And then just say smart insert, and there it goes. And then, let me get back up here to where we said. Then we hit Control R, or you can do it from here and come up and say Control R. Where'd we go? Sorry. Change clip duration. That's not it. Well, let's just try Control R. Okay, there we go. Speed change. So we changed the speed change and we drug it out a little bit. We first kind of just took a bit of that original footage and cut it down, and then drew it out where he was riding along the wall here, and then falls all that way, here, and this is the editor's way of kind of making a point of that was a little unrealistic to fall that far and get up and shake it off. Okay, and the other thing I had to do that was kind of a miss when he gave us this footage is I had to put a cut in our frame, background frame here, and then I had to disable that portion of that so that you wouldn't see that green box that I showed you earlier. The other thing about this is let's drop that down, as they took the pitch correction out of this so you get that real, because we are trained as consumers of television and movies to, when we see something in slow motion, we expect the voice to be in slow motion too. It just makes sense. All right, so we had kind of a lot going on here with that little bit, and it was worth doing that because I think that there's maybe some things with my videos on the motorcycle, that I'm passing by something and I want to re-show it, but I want to re-show whatever little bit of scenery or other motorcycle or something cool in slow motion. Yeah, that's a nice skill, and I plan on using this a lot more. I know we talked about speeding things up and slowing them down and messing things around at the very beginning of all of this classes, but I've never seen it done quite so nicely, and it was very motivating. So what's next here? We got the speed thing down and done. I told you about fixing that. The next thing we need to talk about is we need to come down over here and put our control head on the sound edit here, and then we're going to zoom in on that. So this sound edit actually is all the same piece of music here. And so in the beginning, for example, when we start this off, it's very different. And you can see that it's been faded in, and it's a very different clip. And let's just play that, and I'll show that to you guys, and then we'll talk about how this was kind of edited together to get the most out of one piece of music, And it's a YouTube piece of music that is allowed to be used. You can pick one. They've gotten better since I started 4 years ago. There wasn't much selection, but they've added a lot now. Anyway, let's play this. I'll shut up now.
Back to school to
gonna
prove
mute
to my
this.
daddy that.
Okay, now let's put the
100 years, so I don't remember how to do any of that. Ooh, baby, this looks nice. High school.
Okay, so the music is a little loud for me. I don't think that got taken care of properly, but over here, when we came in, we talked about this in the past here, where it's just a jump cut on either side, and then turning the volume up inside of that, and then you can, you got in there and zoomed in on this jump cut right here. He did put a little bit of a crossfade in there. Okay, fair enough. It was hard to see because it was so small. So that was one of the sound edits in here. So you used part of the sound to start off with in the introduction. Used another part of the sound, the beginning of the music, the beginning of the chorus, more to the point, to kind of get it going. Then we come in here and we drop the volume down by highlighting this using the inspector and come over here and controlling the audio. Negative 13.95 is a little tall for my tastes, but I'm gonna go over here to Fairlight in a little bit and fix everything. So when he's showing this here, this is all, like I said, part of the same song, but we've kind of looped the song back on itself. So let's go in and take a closer look at that and then play that too. So let me mute the monologue, and let's play it and see if you can, whoops, go back a little further. So he hits that on the down bass beat, and you can barely hear it. But a lot of these YouTube songs are electronically generated, and they they have plenty of opportunities with a solid baseline to make such an edit like that. So it's just putting it down and rolling it over just like you would you want to copy it, obviously, move it to the side, and then find a place where we could trim it in or out to match up really nicely. So let me jump in out of here. What else have we done with this? Okay, so there's another edit here that sounded a little different for me. Let's zoom in. And it is another piece of the same music here. You can see it's Twisted Bandits. Twisted Bandits is all the same piece of music, but he's changed it here because we have moved from, we are moving to close the video here. So with the same piece of music here, he has introduced the music, or he introduced the piece. He's changed it with the mood where he's got that kind of gangster doom, 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 while the gameplay is happening. And then at the very end of things where he's changed it where we're kind of winding down now. Okay, so let's jump back out here. And then here's that one more sound edit that we were just looking at. And then he doesn't let it run out. He just lets it fade there. Could you have done something like that and faded it in and out correctly? Yeah, I think that would have been a good idea. How about the jump cuts for that? Yeah, if you just were really having troubles with a meshing cut, with a geared cut for the music here, I suppose you could do a little crossfade just to hide any mistakes. But it's better to spend a little bit of time on that and get it done right. Okay, so that's the last of that. Let's see what else we have to look at here. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, just run over here and make sure I haven't left anything out. Oh, yes, part of the storytelling thing. As long as we're moving towards the end here, he's once again has left himself, what's that, 57 and 45. So he's left himself 12 seconds where he's just got himself full frame here. And he made a special effort of telling us that he doesn't like to say, be sure to like and subscribe, smash that like button, blah, 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 blah. This guy is super successful, and he does not like to do that. He puts up a couple of end cards of his video channel and another video that he's done that kind of relates to this one that he has done there, or he's just doing, or you've just watched, rather. So, and feels that that's a more classy way of gaining subscribers and views than asking for it. I'm kind of on the fence right now. A lot of really successful people ask for it. Are you classy or are you not? I think being classy is not asking for it and having your content speak for itself, which for my money, his really does. So that's about it. So we got the 3 storytelling things, the being in order, being timely, moving along quickly, and I can't remember that third thing. Oh well, I said it earlier. I should put a marker on it. And then the technical things we looked at, the color block and the other little cute edits and stuff like that. So I think that about covers it up for now, and that about makes it 30 minutes or so for this, the gaming video recap. So for now, that's about all I got. Let's leave it there, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.